I think a big question that most PlayStation 4 owners and a lot of gamers have had is, when is The Last of Us Part 2 going to release? A lot of us have really been kind of eagerly anticipating this game, but at the same time trying not to get too hyped for it, because we know that it's a game that Naughty Dog was going to take their time with. Rightfully so. I think most of us can agree that if there's any studio that certainly deserves as much time as they need to get it right, it's going to be Naughty Dog. We've seen what they can do with their games. We saw what they did with The Last of Us 1, and I have to say that I am one of these people, right? Like, I am eagerly anticipating this game. I try not to think about it too much because we don't know when it's coming out. But there's been a lot of mounting evidence that points to 2019 being the year that this game actually releases, and today we have even more information that points to this. Now, I want to say first and foremost, because I know as we get further into the year, and it seems like I'm making at least 1 or 2 videos a month talking about The Last of Us 2, because we just seem to keep getting all this different information. This is just a rumor, as with most of this stuff, so you have to take it with a grain of salt. Don't get overly hyped and understand that it might not be true. But it does seem like there could certainly be some truth to this, so you have to really decide for yourself on which side of the fence you stand on. So it says, with Days Gone finally out of the way, the rest of Sony's 2019 schedule for PS4 exclusives is looking unusually bare bones right now. Neither Death Stranding nor Ghost of Tsushima have confirmed release dates, but the most anticipated first-party title of them all, The Last of Us 2, seems most likely to be the one that arrives later this year. We've had store listings and tacit confirmation from the PlayStation Store itself that Naughty Dog's dystopian sequel is launching in 2019, and now a new hint from a games industry insider suggests we'll be hearing more about the title very soon. In a Reset Era thread discussing The Last of Us 2's potential release date, a user by the name of AOKG, hopefully I'm saying that right, who accurately leaked the existence of Sony's State of Play internet show before it was announced earlier this year, said that considering we're getting an official Last of Us 2 update before E3, it would be really weird if it wasn't 2019 now, wouldn't it? So basically what this individual is saying is that we can expect to get more information from The Last of Us Part 2, or about The Last of Us Part 2, before E3 or around that time. And he's kind of alluding to the idea that wouldn't it be really strange for Sony to come out here and give us more information yet again? I would assume more gameplay, another trailer, and a possible release date, and then not have it be 2019. So yeah, this is extremely interesting because it really does kind of start to back up a lot of the stuff we've been hearing about. For anybody who's not aware, what we've been talking about up until this point is how earlier, I believe it was sometime in February, Sony had their annual Destination PlayStation, which, for anybody who doesn't know what that is, it's basically a private get-together with Sony and its retail partners so they can kind of lay out the plan ahead for the remainder of the year and let them know what to expect, so that way they're in the know and they can kind of, have things ready to go when the time comes. And after they had that Destination PlayStation private meeting, there was a lot of leaks coming out from retailers saying that basically The Last of Us Part 2 is going to be a holiday 2019 release. We've seen some dates pop up: September, October, and even November. Now, I will say that it's really, really starting to look even more so like 2019 is going to be the year, not just because of what I just said, not just because of this Reset Era thread with this insider saying pretty much, hey, wouldn't it be weird if it didn't come out this year, But also because if you look at Naughty Dog's official Twitter and their social media, not too long ago, I think it was like a week ago or a week and a half ago at this point, they were letting us know that they finally shot the last scene of The Last of Us Part 2, and they showed a picture of the actor, the voice actor and actress that does Joel and Ellie, and they said it's obviously very emotional, and they think that this is going to be the most impactful thing they've ever done, and And it was really awesome, honestly. And I think it definitely gets people excited, even though it's not a trailer, it's not gameplay. Just seeing the the inside and even just getting that tiny little glimpse to a lot of people is very exciting. But it really does start to point to the idea that, well, it seems like everything or almost everything with this game is starting to wrap up. And if, let's say, this game does release in October or November, that's a lot of time. That's almost half a year. Almost half a year for Naughty Dog to finish up and finalize everything they need to do before the game has to officially go gold and be ready for launch. And I believe I heard, I could be wrong on this, but I swear I heard that we found out when it comes to Uncharted 4 that they said that they were finished. It was either the mocap or the voice work or the final scenes, something along those lines, similar to what we're seeing right now with The Last of Us Part 2, about 6 months before the game officially launched. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of where we're at right now. And obviously, I'm not a game developer, and I understand that, again, a game like The Last of Us Part 2, easily Sony's most important game for sure, right? And Naughty Dog, they have a lot of pride now. I mean, they always have, but now they understand that they set the bar so high for themselves with the first Last of Us game. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people who actually feel that there shouldn't be a sequel to The Last of Us because it was so good that there's just no way they're going to be able to pull off, a better game with the sequel. Now, I'm not one of those people. I'm actually very interested to see the continuation of Joel and Ellie's story, and I'm assuming this will be the last one. I mean, it really kind of seemed like, if you look at that Twitter post when they said that they shot the final scene, with Joel and Ellie, it really made it seem like this is it. You know what I mean? Like, they don't plan to ever do this again. It's a very emotional moment because of that. And so when you think about all this, I don't know, man. Holiday 2019, I will say it would be a little different, I think, for Sony. A little bit unexpected, I would say, for Sony to release a game like The Last of Us Part 2 during the holiday, because even though it is a juggernaut, you do have to keep in mind there's going to be a lot of other big titles at that time as well, a lot of third-party titles. And we know that Microsoft probably has Gears 5 lined up, and I'm not going to lie, if we're comparing The Last of Us 2 to Gears 5, I think it's very obvious which game holds much more weight and which game needs to watch out for the other there. I'm not even going to bother mentioning it because you guys already know. What I will say is that I think if The Last of Us 2 does release this holiday, it's going to be a title that pretty much every other game needs to get out of the way of, if I'm being honest. Like, maybe the only game that we know will be coming out this holiday for sure is Call of Duty, right? And obviously two very different games, but I'd say Call of Duty is probably the only game that, let's say if Call of Duty is releasing the first week of November and we find out that The Last of Us Part 2 is releasing a week before that or the same week, I think that's the only game that could actually stay where it's at and probably not be too badly affected by it. But any other game, honestly, considering the weight that The Last of Us 2 has, if this is true, it seems like they're going to have to just get out of the way. This is going to be an absolute juggernaut, and it's very exciting to think that, we did get Days Gone, and it's a new IP, and I've been talking about it, and I've been playing it, I've been really enjoying it. It is not on the same level as a game like The Last of Us, but it's a very, very good game, a very enjoyable game, and it really, kind of, for anybody who cares about this, it gives you a reason to feel good about owning your PlayStation 4 because you get to play a game that's a solid game that you really can't play anywhere else. And to think we're going to end the year possibly on the highest note possible with The Last of Us Part 2, it seems to me like The Last of Us Part 2, I'm just going to call it. I'm going to call it now. When that game drops, it's going to be Game of the Year. That's the type of pedigree that Naughty Dog has at this point, and that's the type of studio they are with their capabilities in storytelling, and they've proven that when The Last of Us Part 2 drops, whether it's this year, next year, or later somehow, it's going to be Game of the Year. And I feel sorry for anybody else who's putting out a game who thinks that, maybe they have a real chance to, win that award, and then The Last of Us 2 drops the same year. That's unfortunate for them. And I'm not even trying to be hyperbolic about it. Anybody who's played The Last of Us, you know there's something truly special with the way that story was told. Nobody's sitting here saying it was the most unique thing in the world, the most original concept or idea in the world. No, but it was the way it was done, the way the game was executed. I'm telling you, it was on another level, and we haven't really seen that, maybe other than God of War recently. We haven't seen anything like that, right? So, as you can tell, guys, I am very excited for The Last of Us Part 2, and I always get excited to have any opportunity to talk about this game. And here we are getting more information from an alleged insider who seems to have a track record. Apparently, this individual did leak that State of Play is a thing before it was a thing, and letting people know, hey, this is what Sony's going to do. Now this same individual is coming out here letting us know, hey, we are going to get more information on The Last of Us Part 2 before E3 this year, or maybe around that same time. And wouldn't it be awfully strange to get more information on The Last of Us Part 2 this year and then not have it released this year? So, we have to make of that what we can. And if I had to make a bet, I'd say The Last of Us Part 2 is certainly coming out this year. I think it's a game that, Naughty Dog's been working on for a long time. It's a game that Sony and Naughty Dog are obviously very proud of, and they're excited, and they want to release it at the most ideal time. And that's probably going to be holiday 2019. And if not, then I could see maybe a spring 2020 release. But I'm going to go with holiday 2019. And man, if that's true, this year is just starting to ramp up and just getting started. And one last thing I want to say, and I say this in every video where I'm talking about The Last of Us Part 2, talking about E3, knowing that Sony's not going to be there, I think the most ideal time if Sony's going to drop this bombshell, because believe me, when they announce the release date for The Last of Us 2, that's going to be a bombshell in itself. The most ideal time for them to do so would be right around E3, because we know Microsoft's going to have the spotlight on them. We know Sony wants to be competitive, but we know that maybe they don't have enough to justify doing a full-blown E3. So just show some more gameplay of The Last of Us, give us a release date, and I promise you, if that release date is this year, that's it, man. That's it. The spotlight will be on Sony because people are pumped for this game. Rightfully so. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. I know a lot of you guys have been telling me, MBG, you got to keep making videos on The Last of Us 2, man, because we keep getting more information, whether that's from the official Naughty Dog Twitter, them letting us know they're wrapping up the shooting, and the voice acting and all that stuff, or whether we're getting leaks like this. So here it is. I hope we can talk about it again soon. If this leak is true, we will be talking about this game very soon, and it seems like it's going to be nothing but good news. So be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you honestly think that this leak is true? And if so, do you think we are going to see it this year? And if so, how excited are you for it? I will be interested to see what you guys have to say. Be sure to leave the video a like if you did enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out as well, because it all helps tremendously. But until next time, guys, take care.